How's everybody doing today? Let's go. Taylor had some pretty good numbers. It's weird when I look on this website. It hasn't added her pre-sales in yet. Which, if you add her pre-sales, we should still be at 407-ish, should say 410-ish. But still, long ways to go here this quarter, my friends. How's everybody doing? Let's go. Oh, wait a second here. Let some more people jump in here real quick. Go pack a bong if you're waiting here. I'm going to give Murphy a bone so he calms down. 1 second here, my friends. Alright. Had to get him a bone when he calms down. So went on a little puppy walk. So, alright, let's get into this one here, though. Got a lot to go over here. And, you know, we'll get into Gary here for a second, because it's kind of crazy what's going on if you really look at it big picture. And I didn't really understand a lot of that, what he was doing. But, I know a lot of us want him to go, kick down the door and destroy Citadel in one swoop and one lawsuit, but he's doing a lot of things that are going to completely destroy them, and that is why they're suing them and going after him so much with Congress. We'll get into that in a minute here, but hey, baby. Where's your Dwayne? Go get that bone and just open it. Murph says hi, everybody. Murph says hi. All right, let's get into this, though. So if you go ahead and still add the 120 million in pre-sales, I don't know why, again, those numbers haven't hit. We're at about 410 million. You guys, like I said, go see movies. If you can't go see a movie and you have Twitter, everybody, you should follow AMC Theater's website. They have trailers all the time. Make sure you guys advertise for them. Retweet those. Think of how much money they spend on advertising. It's a massive deal, especially since we have so many people. If we have hundreds of thousands of people suddenly retweeting their trailers, how many people see that? That's a huge deal. So if you guys aren't able to see movies, go ahead and retweet it. Do whatever whatever you guys can do to help out. We all thought the Taylor Swift movie is supposed to be projected at about 150. It did 92, but if you go ahead and add pre-sales, you're at about 212 million. Still really, really, really good numbers. I mean, movies come out and have 212 million opening. So, again, I still think Taylor Swift domestically is still going to be able to do about 600-700 million. That's a lot of money. Now, one of the things I wanted you guys to look at real quick here is this just talks about how much she did at the box office. Actually, I don't even really need to go into that. So, it just shows what she's on pace to do. Sorry. Just got done running here. Had to run the dog. So this just shows what she's on pace to do. She's on pace to do, on par with a lot of movies that ended up doing amazing their first month. Like I said, I still see her doing about 700 million. That's a big deal. Let's go over to this. But this is something I really wanted to get into here. So if you guys look at this, this talks about distribution numbers on all the top companies in 2023. And if you guys come and look down here, you got AMC at 12th place. Now, this shows just the 92 million that we went over. This does not show the pre-sale numbers. So when they add the pre-sale numbers to that, you're already at 7th place. Now, by the end of the year, like I said, I expect Taylor still to do at least 600-700 million still. I really do. And at this point, we would be up towards about top 5. Now, when you go ahead and add Beyonce, by the end of the year, AMC could potentially be at a 1.2 billion in distribution. That would put us in top 4, top 5 category. That's a big deal. When you go over to, also next, going into 2024, you can go over there up to people. You can go up to other production companies. Hey, that have filmed, like an example is Megalopolis. We can go up to them and show, hey, we were top 5 off just 2 movies alone. That's a huge deal. Like I said, this could be easily a multi-billion-dollar revenue stream, because a lot of people are now going to see the amount that AMC is going to be able to make and how much they're going to be able to make themselves by cutting out the middleman. And next thing you notice, like I said, there's no reason next year AMC can't If we start getting movies like they were showing us, even like obviously we were getting into Roblox, I showed you. But if we land that Megalopolis movie, and that's supposed to be a $500 million movie, and we can start doing that going forward, like I said, this could be a massive, massive, massive revenue stream for them. So, one of the things I really want to get into here, because I always fucking hated Gary Gendler. I always thought he was the biggest piece of shit. And I'm not saying he is. And I'm not saying he's on our side. And I'm not sticking up for the guy, because obviously we all want this dude to go in there, storm down the door, kick down Citadel. You know, obviously there's corruption everywhere. It's not like he doesn't see it. We know what's going on. But one of the things that he is doing is one of the things that I believe is, I sat there and I watched that SEC meeting, and we're going to get into a new rule. But if you guys remember the last rule that we got proposed on the short selling data, we got that proposed. Like I said, they had thousands of people on We the Investor that signed that and commented on that. Good job, guys. That was a big deal, and that got that passed. This next rule we're going to get into, we need to do that again. We all need to comment on this next rule. It's a massive, massive deal, and it hurts, and I mean hurts drastically, Virtue Finance and Citadel specifically. There is a reason why Citadel and Virtue is paying Congress and lobbying them and doing every single thing they can do to get Gary out of there. Now, if you're Gary and you can't go in there and storm these doors down because you have bosses above you that are being paid by these corrupt pieces of shit, what is your next best option? Well, fuck you. I'm going to go after your revenue stream then. And then on top of that, I'm going to go after the ways that you have extra power in the market. I'm going to go after that mechanics, and I'm going to change those mechanics. Well, one of the things that I've been talking about for a long time is this CAT system. They're trying to sue them right now over the CAT system. And the CAT system, I mean, I know I talked about Phase 6 and I was wrong. And I thought Phase 6 was going to be a big deal. And I thought the rest of the world would hold us accountable. But the problem is when the rest of the world's participating in that activity even harder, I was wrong. I underestimated the world corruption. And that was stupidity on my part, dude. Like I said, all that should have been redone. There should have been a third party to rewatch and renew all of those contracts and rewatch a deposit. There was no longer just supposed to be a support credit annex attached to these swaps. You actually had to deposit money. Well, apparently that doesn't stop anything, or they're not depositing money. But these guys are still taking hits. We're going to get into a lot of stuff in this one. But right now, one of the things with this CAT system, and it's completely different. And this is why I say, this is why I think they're completely scared of this. They continuously try to push it off. They do whatever they can to make sure that this doesn't go fully active. And I want to explain how fucking insane this situation is. Because obviously we all know it. But I mean, think about this. You have the stock market. What? Trillions of dollars. Okay, I want you guys to understand this. Trillions of dollars go through this. I mean, think about the amount of money that goes through this. But the reporting system and all the data is 1,000 fucking years old. It's behind stuff. Now, the people that you're watching have these satellites. And I showed you about those Citadel satellites. There's articles on them. There's literally fines. They got in trouble doing this. They would park these satellites even closer to exchanges and all of these things so they could get data at nanoseconds faster and intercept and do and front run and do all of this shit. The corruption is insane. Now, if these guys got that advanced of technology, why are we running on Dell software to fucking monitor this? That alone is ridiculous. The fact that you don't even have a time stamp and date on trades is baffling. It is, as we all know, it's self-reported. It tracks. This is the difference, and I'm going to show you the difference between the CAT system and what is going on now and why they're so fucking scared of this thing. Right now, basically what it tracks is a broker went over and he sold it over here, and then the market maker, blah, 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 and he says he did this, and it's self-reported. It basically, the only thing it really tracks is me buying this from this. Okay. Well, the difference between this and the CAT system is it actually has 3 different times that it tracks it throughout the life cycle of a trade. This type of stuff is going to stop so much criminality or make it so fucking easy to find. The SEC has no choice, but they can't say we couldn't find it anymore with this. The SEC can't, they don't have any excuses. Right now you have it tracked one time. Okay? And it's basically at the beginning of the trade. That's where it's tracked. The CAT system comes when it gets fully live, when it's funded, when everything's going and they have this. There's so many different and key things. First of all, there's a time and a date stamp, okay? So all trades now have the second that you go up to a broker, it has the second you bought it, okay? And on top of that, think of how basic I'm going to show you this stuff is, but how drastic of a change this is. And how was this not implemented in the first place? So you get just that. You also have a customer ID. Now you remember the first time that they tried to get the CAT system up and operational, how did they delay it? Remember, I showed you, they delayed it over customer data. A security breach, but that's what they always do. When they have no way to get around it, security breach. It's a risk of cyber attack. So they had to change the way that they had your customer data. So now instead of it tracking your name and all of that, because it was going to have literally who had it by attached to the trade, name and everything. They didn't want that information to be exposed. And okay, I get it, and that's understandable. So now what they do, because the broker has that information anyways, they ended up trading the rules, changed the system around to where now the brokers have that, a customer ID and a broker ID. So now there's a customer ID and a broker ID attached to each trade. So now they can find out exactly who bought it, from what broker, and what time. Holy fuck. This is just now, hold on, before I keep going. The main difference, the reason I wrote this, is there's one time on the CURT, they canceled the OAT system, and they're running on the CAT system, but it's not fully up and operational and this and that, because it's not funded. So it's like they have it, but it's like they installed it in fucking Windows mode. So you can't really do much. It's ridiculous what's going on right now. They're fighting this shit tooth and nail. So the big difference between this and the CAT is the CAT does it 3 times. Okay? One of the big differences, and then we'll get into, hold on, I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but there's a lot of changes coming. There's a ton of fucking changes coming, and there's a ton of things that Gary's doing to attack these guys' revenue in every way possible. He's also taking away their advantages. And I'm sitting there like, all right, when I'm looking at these rules, when they get implemented, and this is why I fucking hate Hester Pierce and that Mark guy. We need to get them off. We need to make sure, we need to figure that out. How can we get the SEC candidates removed? Who do we need to talk to? I don't want the head gone. I want Hester Pierce gone, and I want this Mark guy. You easily know, every single time transparency comes up, these guys vote against it. Every time. You know who's paid off. We know Hester Pierce gets paid off by that firm, which is a deregulation firm. So she literally is a regulator that gets paid off by a deregulation firm. That is her number one income. That is the biggest conflict of interest in the world there. I work for a deregulation, and I work for less transparency, less oversight company, but I'm also on a regulation of the stock market. I'm on that committee. That alone is fucking massive conflict of interest. She's a piece of shit. Now, the big thing is, so now what this does here is it tracks on, so what this does is it pings it 3 times throughout the life cycle. Now, you guys got to remember, they're moving next year to T+1. It's not going to be T+2. So to track this, it's going to be even less to get these pings, which is great. Now, so the first ping, this is what you get. Ping number 1. This is the first track, and it stores this type of information. The broker ID, who did it, what stock, and then the amount. But now, the key thing here is, this is key. This is where it sends it. This is a key thing to the CAT system. This is why market makers fucking hate this. There's a thing now going to be called venue ID. So this will tell them on the first ping where the broker sent it. Now there's a venue ID throughout all three of these pings, and these pings will now be it throughout the entire life cycle of this trade. So it tracks it the whole way through. It tracks it through all a T+1. Now the second time it pings it is when it's received. So let's say it's received by an exchange. Whoever receives that trade. So let's say it gets exchanged by a market maker, because let's say Citadel grabs it, okay? Because that's who's probably going to grab it. So now it gets ping number 2. Now it does the same thing. It goes, it doesn't have this information anymore. What ends up, it has the broker ID. It doesn't have the customer ID attached to it. It has specific things now throughout the life cycle of the trade, but it still will have the venue ID once Citadel has it. So now when Citadel says, all right, I filled the order in my T+1 and I filled it, it will know exactly where they filled it. Did you fill it over here? Did you fill it over here? Did you internalize it? What happened? And now ping number 3 is once the broker gets it and it's the end of the trade. It's the end cycle. This is number 3 ping. So it tracks it through the entire time of the trade. There's no fucking, oh, let me get this over here. Use this as a locate with the swap. Let me throw it over here. Let me throw it into this. Throw it over here, over here, over here, over here, over here. There's nowhere to track it. Nope. It will be able to watch it the whole time. This venue ID is massive. And this all should have been implemented in the first place. How much money goes through this market? This is supposed to be the most advanced, secure. They tell everybody, oh, it's the greatest market in the world. And you're running on 99, Windows 99. And they're doing everything they can do to stop that upgrade. Like I said, it puts so much liability now on the SEC. You have no excuses. You have the entire life cycle of every single trade going forward. Now, this is what's key. When the CAT system's fully operational, because they made that to be a point, and this is why I hate them. They made that to be a point. It will be going from the moment the CAT system's fully up and operational, then everything will be tracked. All the grandfather data is not going to be tracked in with all this stuff. So that's how they're going to get away with it for a long time. But going forward, when this is up and operational, tracking all the shit that they're doing, they will see the manipulation. They'll be easily able to say, hey, we see you doing this. We see you doing this. But like I said, it doesn't track previous data. They migrated all this shit, but let's be real. They didn't migrate. It was self-reporting migration. So they didn't report and migrate all the correct data anyways. We know they're pieces of shit, and they're going to manipulate any data that they could possibly send, that they can possibly manipulate. But this is why they're so scared of the CAT system. These 3 steps, go ahead, you can just Google the CAT system. Look at all of it. Like I said, you can read tons about it. There's tons of information out there. But this is the biggest thing that they're afraid of, is the 3 ping, the 3 tracking system compared to 1. And now you're moving into T+1 as well. So you're shortening the time that they also have to do their bullshit. Now they're trying to sue him, going after him. Of course, they want to make it to where they don't want to pay for this stuff, because this is what blows my mind. They're saying that, okay, they'll pay for the CNS program, okay? They pay for all those programs that back this up, any netting type of program. They have no problem paying. Why? Because that goes ahead and allows them to cheat, it allows them to manipulate, it allows them to hide things and move things over here. And that's the thing. They move it away from all these people's views. Well, now it's over to the CTFC to monitor this. We'll move it away from them. We'll move it away from them. And it's just constant movement. It's ridiculous. This ends so much stuff right now when this CAT system goes up. And they're fighting it with every single penny they can. They've already gotten this pushed off. Like I said, the fact this is not live is just mind-blowing, you guys. It is mind-blowing. But one of the things we know Gary's trying to do is he's trying to implement that auction system, because what is Citadel's biggest moneymaker? It is payment for order flow. So he's trying to do the auction system to take away their advantage in the stock market, bring more competition, get rid of payment for order flow. It's banned around the world. Dave Lauer showed him that presentation. He made his case to the SEC with We the Investor. He proved them wrong on multiple times through stats data on his reports. Payment for order flow is not better for us. It's not. It is not better for us. It doesn't make it more liquid. It hurts the market. It hurts spreads more than it helps it. He showed him all these things. And now, like I said, he wants to do that auction rule. We just got that last rule passed with the short selling. This one is another key thing that he's going after on Citadel, and he's going after for Virtue. And this is a huge revenue stream for them. This is something we need to make sure. Yes, we want. If you want, We the Investor is going to go on there. They're going to talk about this. This involves rebates. They're going to go ahead and have another petition to sign. Everybody sign up on that. We had thousands and thousands last time, and we got a rule passed. We need to have thousands and thousands on there again. If you guys saw the meeting today, it got passed, and one of the things Gary said is he wants to see retail's comments. He wants to make sure we want this, and we want this a lot, you guys. This gets rid of rebates, tiers. It makes it, right now what's going on is you have all of these exchanges, and they offer rebates. It's like a payment for order flow for these exchanges. So basically, market makers are getting payment for order flow from their broker. They're getting payment for order flow from the exchange once they fill it. And they make money when they go ahead and cheat, put your stock down, and then fill it at a couple pennies less. So they're getting paid. They're just loving life at all the, everywhere. They're loving life. Well, what this does is it makes market makers have power because they have different tiers of rebates. So if you come to my exchange a whole bunch, I'll pay you more money to come to me. Basically, it's an incentive for you to use my exchange over all the other exchanges. And what that does is now you basically have market makers in the stock market. And you also have massive, giant market makers in exchanges. You have those exchanges that just always dominate everything because they give the best rebates. There's a thing that Dave Lauer puts up. There's a lawsuit that he goes over, and it talks about how they have these people that he actually now works for Robinhood. Actually, let me post tweets up. I think I have it up in another. I have a couple. Yeah, I think I have it over here. I do. Okay, so this talks about. Yeah, that's the right one. All right, so this talks about the rebates that we're going to go over here. So, like I said, these exchanges, they pay it out. So what they do is Citadel will go ahead and go to one exchange. That exchange will pay them a ton of money. Well, what this does is it hurts other brokers. It helps them control the market. Like I said, it continuously helps Citadel. It makes them more revenue than it makes other brokers. This is how they contain power. Sorry, my dog is biting my foot. He's distracting the shit out of me. All right, so this helps them control power in the market because, like I said, if they can sit there and keep going to these exchanges, getting better rates, holding off, they control everything, you guys. Like I said, these market makers are just pieces of trash. But what this is doing is this gets rid. I'm going to go ahead and send this link quick. This gets rid of payment for order flow from the retail side. He's trying to get rid of payment for order flow from the retail side through the auction. And now he's trying to get rid of payment for order flow through exchanges. And this is exactly what we need. Get it the fuck out of our market. It's banned across the world. Just get rid of this trash. It's complete nonsense and it's garbage. It's nothing but conflict of interest everywhere. If you have one exchange that is paying the best and they're always getting your orders filled there, like I said, it's basically like these guys are having a handshake agreement. I'll always pay you. You'll always have orders because I'll always have the shares right here because I'll always go to your exchange. So you'll always have the liquidity. And that's the thing. It's always liquidity. It's all about, here, I'll give you a rebate here. I'll give you more here. It's debt. And we're going to get into this in a second. It's always just, here's more debt for a better price because I need liquidity at this moment because I owe this guy. Now I owe this guy. It's a constant gong show. The fact liquidity is even a word, it's even liquidity needs to be the most exposed thing in the United States. You guys want to walk around and tell people what do I tell people? You say the word liquidity means that they're allowed to give you something just so the flow of the stock market, or just so the flow of what's currently going on isn't interrupted. So if there's no shares, they can sell me an IOU just so the market doesn't, nothing happens there. The price, they can control it. It doesn't go to what it should properly go to. But it's in the name of liquidity. They can sell you shares when there's no shares there because it's in the good of the market. No, it's in the good of you fucking market makers. It's in the good of you brokers. It's in the good of you criminals. That's all it is. Liquidity is what's in the best for criminals. It's an IOU. If you guys want to expose one thing, I'm telling you, that's it. But like I said, next year we should have this up. I mean, I'm sure they're gonna fight this tooth and nail, have the best lawyers. We'll see what happens with this lawsuit here with Citadel. But like I said, they're gonna do it. If we can get the CAT system in here, get T+1 in, this is supposed to go live, like I said, May 28th of next year. Citadel, I mean, you got Virtue already. They're in a lawsuit with Gary here. You got to remember, Citadel's also on a lawsuit with that exposed data. So currently, Citadel is in 2 lawsuits with the SEC. They're basically going after their entire business model through the auction, and now they're going after their next business model of payment through order flow through the exchanges. So Gary's actually going to fuck these guys up through their revenue streams and through their power that they have mechanically through the market, because the piece of shit congressman above him won't allow him to just kick down doors and start finding people and doing this and that. So, like I said, that's what it looks like to me at this point, because he's going after all their revenue stream. And like I said, they're continuously lobbying to get him fired. They're in lawsuits. They fucking hate the shit out of this guy. He's listening to us. He says he continuously wants retail's comments. Yes, we get our rules in. Are they 100% in the way we want them? No, they'll water it down a little bit, but it's steps and steps. It's always steps in the right direction, but this is something that they did themselves. This is a rule where they actually want to delete the tiers. So that means small brokers, everybody gets the same rebate. Citadel and them can't have handshakes. What that does is now they're going to go to all the exchanges. They're not going to go heavily into one exchange. So now this opens up liquidity to all exchanges. This opens up competition. This opens up price improvement to us. This is a very, very, very big deal. Like I said, we want to make sure that this passes. This hurts Citadel's revenue. And anytime you can fuck up your opponent's revenue, easy yes. On top of that, Citadel is now going to be in another lawsuit from Terraform. They're talking about how Citadel manipulated it. And Citadel had a whole bunch of, like I said, Citadel and all these finger pointings. You can see it in the Sam Brinkman thing with his little girlfriend over here. Well, Sam was over here selling our customers Bitcoin so we can hold it down between 20,000. I mean, and then his executive, what did he just tell on him about? Oh my God, I can't remember what it was. His executive just told on him. I can't remember what it was about. Everyone's gonna tell, and this is what it is. It's always gonna be finger pointing. Well, now you're gonna have lawsuits coming out. This is hopefully going to lead to discovery. A month and a half ago, we still got our boy Billy Huang. He's issuing 10 subpoenas to all of those banks that were helping him because they were willingly doing it. So hopefully this again leads to more discovery, more fucking lawsuits. We need everybody to wake up. And more people are going to wake up to this corruption. It is getting so fucking ridiculous that it's like, this is so stupid. You got 8 CEOs of the largest U.S. banks, including J.P. Morgan Chase, Bank of America, Citigroup, Gold, all the fucking criminals. All the criminals. They'll face questioning at a Senate Banking Committee hearing in December. So now that a lot more is getting exposed, now that the United States is getting... Oh my God, we're going to get into that in a second. People are starting to finally wake up to the spiral that I was telling you about. And it's sweet because I'm finally starting to see these bigger name people talk about it in finances. And I'm like, dude, I've been talking about this for months. They break it down even simpler than I did. And we're going to get to that in a second here. But once again, all of this is going to keep coming out. There's going to be a lot more finger pointing. This entire system It's built on corruption. It's a Ponzi scheme. Fractional reserve banking is such a Ponzi scheme. It's a joke. Everybody right now is borrowing from somebody for collateral for another thing, and they're all paying each other interest rates. And when it comes time to pay these guys, they don't have that interest rate to pay them. So it's like everybody's just borrowing and going, oh, it's okay, don't worry. Let me just have this, and then we'll do this, and we'll just handshake this. Well, eventually, you've handshaked every asset you guys have, and they've done that multiple times over. See, the problem is right now, here you go. We're talking about the death spiral. And this is exactly what I was talking about for the last couple months that the United States is in. And it's boiling over. Now, I said it was getting bad before, but it's at this point where I'm going to show you right now. It's getting so bad you guys don't even get how bad this is getting. Something is going to explode. We're going to get into some numbers here and some things quick, but before I do that, I just want to explain this to some people as simple as possible. So we're going to dig into this real quick. I'm just going to skip. I'm not going to read the whole thing. It's a massive thing. I'm just going to point to the key points and then get into stuff I've been talking about. So if you guys come in here and you look at this stuff, you look at the government right now, because a lot of people are, we're going to look at the big picture right now of the United States. You're going to understand by the next 5 minutes the big picture going on. Okay, so the United States, think of it as a business. Like I said, you have to gain money. You have to spend more than you're earning. Or you can't spend more than you're earning. Just like everything else. Otherwise, it's a defect. And guess what? You end up getting debt. Because the only other way to manage that is issuing bonds, issuing debt. And what do you have? A $33 trillion debt. Fucking ceiling, dude. That's going to keep going up and up and up and up and up. And the problem is getting worse and worse and worse because the feds can no longer fight inflation because they printed all of that money. You cannot print 80% of the entire currency in a couple of years and then instantly raise rates to historic levels in a matter of a year and go, there's not going to be massive repercussions. The amount of shit we're going to get into right now, you are seeing this stuff starting to boil over. Not just one sector. It's every single sector right now. And it's getting to the point where the government, I don't know what they're going to do. Because you can't really, they can do a default type thing. With all the unrealized losses, obviously they continuously do these programs. You got the one where they're now going to help, if they hold these bonds through maturity, they'll get them at par value. Of course, there's more bailout bullshit. But there's so many different ways that this is boiling over that, like I said, the feds are in between a rock and a hard place. Their number one asset is houses. It's mortgage-backed securities. And they'll never be able to get rid of these until this crash happens. Well, when that happens, they're going to take massive losses across every single one of them. But let's get back into this here. So, like I said, you have a budget. You have to make more than you spend. But our government, as we always go over, has a spending problem. They just spent another $300 billion compared to last year. So they're now over 2008 levels in spending. So if you guys come down, look down here. 1 second here. Where is it? All right. So this explains why we're going to war. So right now, the United States is at a defect. We are spending way more. 1 second. We are spending way more than we are making. If you guys look, it's been a $300 billion increase compared to last year. So what do you do if you're the United States? How do you make up that? There's only a couple ways. How do you make income? You make your 95% of your income comes from taxes. You're not going to be, and then the other 5 is other kind of taxes. Well, and then on top of that, what you have is you can issue debt. Well, you're not going to be able, you don't want to be Japan. You don't want to issue debt to buy previous debt and then have to issue more debt at a bigger rate and end up getting fucked like Japan. You can go that route if you have to, but that's just a big problem. You already see that rippling through their entire economy. That's not a path you really want to go down. So what else can you do? War. That is where you start making money. That is how you stimulate your economy because you're not able to sell those treasury bonds. I've already showed everybody, hey, Nobody's buying our fucking treasury bonds. And on top of that, I'm talking about other countries. You now have institutions. You had $1 trillion leave the banking deposits going into money market funds and getting into those. But other countries are selling them by the billions and the billions and the billions, and they're not buying them back. So the only other way right now the United States can make that money to generate that is war and gaining debt through other countries with interest. So what are we doing? We're in this war, we're in that war, we're in Ukraine, we're involved in all of these wars because that's the way we need to generate our income right now. Because you can't raise taxes. Think about it. You can't raise taxes. You got your election coming. And if they raise taxes right now in the current state that the United States is in, holy fuck. People would go crazy. You would lose the election. There's no way you raise taxes. Well, what else can you do? You can cut your expenses in half. You can look at your budget and say, what can we start getting rid of and start paying down some of this debt because that interest we're paying, we are paying more in interest than we're paying in defense. We are paying more in interest on our debt than we pay in national defense. That's in fucking insanity. So you can either, or you start generating more. Well, here's the other problem that you're facing. You start having tons of companies come up. You have middle class companies, mom and pop shop companies come up, and they start creating revenue, and then you start gaining more taxes through that. But guess what? You've already killed all the middle classes out. You killed your middle class out. You killed the chance of that coming back. You've destroyed all that. Now you need people making more money so you can tax them more. That's the only other way. Well, let's be real. They're not going to give all of us raises. We're already been taught, and that's why you're seeing it in some places where they are giving it. They're like, hey, we got to raise this up to this because then we can fucking get more taxes from you guys. So right now, the only option, their number one option is we need to start getting involved in these wars. And then what we need to do is send them. We will send you $100 million in humanitarian assistance, and you will owe us debt, and it will be on top of interest, and we'll now use that as collateral. We will now bring that over here. We'll rehypothecate it here. We'll turn this $100 million into $1 billion, and blah, we're feeling good, and we just generated revenue for the United States. And on top of that, 40 million to 50 million of this will go to its proper place. The other 50 million will be funneled and it will be fucking laundered and it will be lost to the corruption. Probably end up going back into the war that they're actually funding on both sides. It's probably just going to end up going into the war because that's what we do. We have this war over here, so let's go over it. Let's escalate it. Let's get involved and boom, boom, boom. Like I said, when you understand, in the end of the day, the United States needs this because we're losing so much money and nobody's buying our bonds. No one's buying the debt and we're spending at such a fucking rapid pace, they don't care. And when it comes down to cutting that expense, they're never going to do that. That means the government can't send their buddies a couple more $1 billion on the side. There's no way in hell that's an option. So what you're leading down to is only option is raising these rates to such drastic heights. And they're at all-time highs left and right. You're seeing it over and over. We haven't seen rates since 2007. These rates are insane. We need people to buy our debt. Our government cannot stop spending. So we need somebody to be able to, somebody's got to pay for it. We can't. We're already overspending. This is the third largest deficit in history, you guys. Sorry, my mouth is dry as fuck. This is insane. So at a time where, like I said, at a time where your economy is so fucked, you're spending the third amount, and then on top of that, we raised the debt ceiling to unlimited terms. So basically, these criminals are just going to keep going. They're going to spend as much as they can. So they got to issue more and more and more of these treasury notes. That's what they got to do. They have no choice. They're going to have to keep raising it. Well, what's that going to do? That means everybody's going to keep leaving the banks because there's going to be no point in being in a bank. If I can have these notes if I can go to these money market funds at 6.5%, 7%, or I can sit in a bank at 0.15, everyone's going to run over there. But the problem is when you have other countries, and this is the thing, this is why it's a time bomb. When you have other countries buying your debt, they're going to hold on to it. When you have your citizens buying your debt, they might make it, and then suddenly have expenses and try and get rid of this. And then need that money, and you don't fucking have it. You've already spent it. And that's the problem. And then, like I said, and now you're going to have more banks closed. You're going to have more banks closed. Deposits are going to continuously drop. Well, what are they doing now? Look at JP Morgan, just as an example. Their deposits in 1 year, they're dropping by hundreds of billions, and you got to remember, they also absorbed other banks. Or these would have been even harder drops. People are leaving these and leaving this. They're going to continuously plummet. And what happens when JP Morgan, the biggest criminal enterprise, has under $2 trillion in deposits? Now they can't even afford their stuff. Like I said, the United States is in a really bad place right now. And to make things worse, I've shown you this, you have $7.6 trillion in debt coming. And it's maturing in the next year. What the hell are they going to do? Are you really going to try and issue more debt to pay for your old debt, to pay that off? And now you have 7.6 trillion more out there at the new higher rate? It's like opening up a brand new credit card to continuously pay for another one and pay higher rates and higher rates. I don't even know what they're going to do right now. I don't know what you're going to do when all of this happens, because what happens if these people say, no, I want my money. No, I bought your debt. Like I said, it's just like getting an IOU, and then you're going to pay me for my rate as long as I held this. Well, they held it all the way through maturity. Now they can come up and say, I just want my money. I want this. We don't have it. So now we'll have to issue new debt to pay these people. Well, to issue that new debt, guess what? Our fucking credit rating dropped. Do you see why our credit rating dropped? Because we are now paying everything with more debt, and we're getting to the point where, like I said, everybody's going to be leaving our banking system. You're going to have the citizens of your country, and the institutions are going to own your debt. We're going to be the ones owning all that stuff. Why do you think all of those short hedge funds are shorting these at an all-time high record level? Because they know we're going to go over there. There's liquidity that's going to continuously come in there. We got to go over there and fucking steal it. Everybody's going to continuously run over here because there's no incentive. There's no incentive to stay in a bank. Well, guess what? Banks can't raise their rates to 3, 4, 5, 6%. They can't raise their rates that high. They're barely getting by at the rates at under 1%. How the hell are they going to give you guys 2 or 3? Let alone 4 or 5. How are they going to keep up with this? They're not going to be able to. You're already seeing this in the repos. Guess what? I told you when you started to see this exact thing, you're going to see the repos drop, because they're not going to have all this cash on hand. They're not going to be able to go give it to the government. Well, guess what? That's another way the government is making money, is through these repos. So now these people aren't able to go over there and park their cash overnight for the government to go out and do their fucking thing, make money off that money, and then in return give them treasury notes. So now, again, we're making even less. The government is continuously across the board spending what they don't have. And their plan was always the banks could supply this and this and this. And no, we're leaving the banks. You gave us no incentive to stay in a fucking bank. There's none. Just enough to pay my bills for convenience for it online. Other than that, why would I have my shit in there? So they can go and do criminal shit with it? They can go funnel people with it? They can go ahead and traffic how much drugs with it? No, I'm good. Fuck off. Rather go to a credit union that is involved in none of this shit. like I said, they cannot keep this up because they are literally just digging a hole, but they're digging it at such a rapid pace because while the United States is doing all this and burning through all this, what are they also doing? They're making bailout programs for people that don't have money to pay them back. Look at Silvergate. Here, we're going to give you a federal home loan. It's a loan. They're doing a year. You need to pay this back with interest. Do you have it? Silvergate didn't. So they're going out, they're using these continuously. So what happens when these guys start defaulting on these billion-dollar loans? What are you going to do? Now the government's taking more hits and more hits on the people they're bailing out that they're counting on and this debt that they're counting on. And it's just continuously piling up and piling up. And what are you going to do? You can't just keep doing wars. Like I said, the only other way to generate and stimulate GDP? War. You can't raise taxes. I showed you the other 4 ways they could maybe make money that he didn't talk about, but none of them are going to work either. The government is literally stuck right now. And all they can do is say, we're not in a recession because the job market, blah, 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 blah. Fuck it, I'll jump over there. See, this is what's fucked up. Oh, sorry, Dave got me all fucked up when I moved him over here. So this is what's messed up here. They sit here and income in 17 states, the median income dropped in 17 states. If you look at the median income of last year, the median income of last year dropped 2.3%. So that means this money's going down. Our money's going down. Inflation's going up. The cost of living is going up, but we're making less. The average in each United States people made a year is dropping. And this is why the government is so fucked up. It's not a recession. It's okay because look at our job market is strong. Look at all these people working. People are working. More people are working 2 jobs than ever. More people are working 2 jobs than ever. And more people are making less than ever. While inflation's skyrocketing. While cost of living and every single way is going up. While you have companies price gouging and there's no repercussions. Like I said, you're destroying your middle class on purpose, but all you say is our job market's strong. Look, we're not in a recession. Look, the people are working. Our job market's going up. It's up. It's greater. No, it's shittier. It's fucking shittier. You're giving people shittier jobs. And the fact that we have 2, you count it as, look at, there's 2 people working. No, it's 1 guy working 2 shitty ones, dude. But back to where I was. Like I said, the government sits there and everything's peachy dory, and then he bites his ice cream, and then the guy doesn't even know where he is. Has to get helped. Like I said, Joe Biden, how does somebody, he can't, dude, the guy, oh my God. How the fuck is Joe Biden president, dude? I mean, you look at this dude, he's literally, God, he needs a retirement home so bad. Oh my God, dude. I love watching his speeches. I love watching him walk away. Like I said, guys, we got to do something in America to where it's like, all right, we have an age limit on how old you have to be president. We should have an age on Congress. We should have an age limit on how old you can be to where you can no longer be in Congress. When you're past 60, sorry, you're out of touch with reality. You are from a generation that is no longer in touch with this generation's reality. You aren't. You have no idea. How do I know? Because I'll hand you an iPad and I'll try and watch you work an iPad for 10 minutes. And then I'll hand it to this 9-year-old kid, this 5-year-old kid, and I'll watch that kid fly through it. See, you're out of touch with reality. If you want proof, there it is. Let's just hand you both an iPad and see who's better with it quick. I mean, this is insanity. But like I said, everything's starting to have a ripple, a repercussion, and it's hitting these guys in other levels that people aren't paying attention to. It's hitting them right now on their deposits. It's hitting the government who is bailing them out. It's hitting the feds. It's hitting everybody that can help them. And eventually nobody can help them. And what they need to do before they go ahead and hit anybody is they need to put on their show, their act, their show for everybody. See, we went after him and we talked to him about these things that gotta change. We found, I don't give a, oh, did you slap him on the wrist? Holy fuck. I bet they learned their lesson. But they need to put their gong show on because they know everybody, it's all coming out. We're too fucking smart now. We're way too smart now. They never expected us to stay in it this long. They never expected to be like, okay, these guys are losing me money. We're not like you pieces of shit. We can live our lives. We're not used to having a ton of money. You are. So when you lose a couple $1,000s, when you lose a little bit, we're used to not having that anyways. But when you start seeing your bank account, you go fucking crazy. And I know it's eating them alive more than it's eating us. Like I said, these guys have to wake up every single day and then need to figure out, how can I stall? How can I cheat to get by just a little longer? How can I pay this guy where's my money? Where's my money? Hey, where's my collateral? Eventually, it's going to give over here. It's going to give over here because all these people that were backing him up can't do it anymore. We'll get into... Well, I don't want to jump ahead here, but like I said, you're seeing shit across the board right now. That is at 2007 levels, 2010 levels. If I pull up the Treasury yields right now, they're at levels across the board, and they're going to keep going higher and higher. They're at all-time highs. Everybody sees it. That's why they downgraded us. We are spiraling, and we are fucked. We need to get these politicians the fuck out of here. We do. There's so many other things that are coming down. Bubbles are bursting. If you look over here on top of that, it's half of what it was in 2008, but it puts on more pressure because the difference between 2008, and we're going to get into this now in the housing market, is it's like just as bad, if not worse, because what's going to happen, we'll get into that in a second here. But if you guys look over here at this real estate here, you have $80 billion in commercial real estate right now that, like I said, you guys, these guys they continuously destroyed their middle class. They destroyed all of these mom and pop shops, these middle tier retail shops. They destroyed them all. Well, if you run them all out of business, and if they all default on their loans, nobody's able to buy these back. Who the fuck's going to be able to afford to open up a new business right now? How many people can go, I can go open a business right now? You can't. Not many can. And if you can, how many of you guys want to risk it? It's not like it's like, fuck yeah, let me go risk this. The risk now is higher than ever. Everything costs so much. It's like, dude, if it doesn't pop off right away, you're going to be gone in a couple months. You're going to eat through your stuff. You're going to eat through all your savings and your backup funds unless you had quite a bit. It's like, it's a big, huge risk right now. So these guys are getting hit. They're losing collateral everywhere. Good. Fuck them. They have 1.5 trillion of this due in the next couple years. This is bigger and bigger and bigger. Like I said, all these numbers, all this inflation is coming on these guys. They're taking losses. The difference right now is they cannot take what they did before with these. When they had a loss in losses in real estate, what did they do? They trounched them up. They made them shit securities with shit ratings, and then they sold them off to other people. They can't do that anymore. Nobody's buying junk bonds, and everybody's looking over like, fuck that. I don't have any money anyways. So now they can't, they got to take these losses. They actually have to absorb these fucking losses until they can go ahead and refill the spaces or sell these junk bonds. But like I said, if you look over here, I was going to pull this up. I mean, this is fucking crazy. Look at this. God damn it, where is it? Just saw it. Pretty sure it was her. If you look for the... Here it is. No. Junk bonds passed. The amount of junk bonds in the United States passed the amount of AAA bonds in the United States. That's insane. That's fucking insane. It's like, okay, everywhere is junk. Everybody is just selling everybody junk. Here's this junk debt. Here's repackaged junk debt. And I'll regrade it lower and regrade it lower and regrade it lower. It's just a joke. Because it's all shit. Everything and everyone is running off shit. I knew I should have kept it up. Whatever. I'll find it. Well, I'll show you next time. But this is what I'm saying. Basically everything's junk turning into junk. Junk debt, junk this, repackaged junk. No one fucking wants it. The amount of junk out there is insane. U.S. commercial property crisis deepens. Obviously, vacancy rate topping 2008 hits new record, guys. We're hitting new records on these vacancies. Like I said, nobody can hold on to these businesses right now. It's like the riskiest time ever in the history of life to start a new business right now. It's not worth it. You're going to lose everything. Unless you, like I said, unless you have a great idea. I can't say that. I'm not trying to discourage you if you're like, let me go start a business. Man, you could, anyone can make it. I'm not saying you can't make it. It's just, it's really hard. Really know that's what you want to try and do. But you're continuously seeing, this is worse than 2008. This is worse than 2008. And like I showed you, we are making less money and everything is costing more. We are working, there are more jobs out there, but they're shittier jobs. The better jobs are actually releasing people and closing down. The United States is in a very bad place. On top of that, like I showed you before, you have tons of these banks that are borrowing. Look at these percentages. And if you don't think this is a big deal, again, you guys, in the top 6 of this chart, half of them, 3 of these banks went under. So if you don't think this is a big deal, these guys are borrowing money. They're using loans to pay off all of their debt. But now they don't owe that debt. They owe it all to their credit card. But the difference is this credit card is due on one day. It's due 1 year. On 1 year, I need you to give it all back and interest. Well, what happens? What happens when that day comes back and you already spent all of it? This is my point. You have everybody borrowing everything. These numbers shouldn't even be fucking allowed. The loan shouldn't be even close to your amount of equity. It shouldn't even be close. Let alone over 100%. You should not be able to go borrow a federal home loan and that amount be more than your equity. Like I said, I mean, it's not like these guys are just borrowing a small amount. It's billions, trillions. The fact that me and you talk today about the word trillion, and it's not like when you were in school, I mean, think about this. When you were in school, your parents couldn't even fathom the word trillion. We throw out the word trillion like it's the next million, like it's no big deal. I mean, I looked at old like wrestlers, some actors, they have like $42 million, and I'm like, that's it? That's all they have? But that's a fucking lot of money. But then you look over at politicians, and they all have over 100 million. And you're sitting there, and then you got these guys that have billions, and you're like, oh, 42 million's chump change. And that's how they have you thinking. It's mind-blowing. The word trillion should not ever have came about, let alone them printing that. They should not have printed like $16 trillion. The fact they printed all that money, they printed 16 trillion and life got worse. I want you to think about that. Your government printed $16 trillion and life got worse. They didn't use a single penny of that money to make our lives better. Not a single penny.
That alone's like treasonous to your own country, is it not? Like I said, politicians they're all treasonous. They're all betraying their own country, their duties for money, for bribes, for speeches, for dark money, for lobbying, for whatever they need. The volume of U.S. mortgage applications is the lowest since 1995. Now, I want you guys to look at the mortgages right now. They just got done showing everybody that it crossed basically 8%. It's 8% everywhere. Now, again, average credit score in the United States is 714. So if you have $40,000, your loan today will be 8.9%. You're basically going to pay 9%. Now you got to remember the average home now is $440,000. So you're paying 9% on $440,000. Now let's break that down. That means you are currently paying, because if you get that loan at that price, you are now paying $2,986 a month, which means you are paying over $35,000 a year on your house payment. You are paying $35,000 a year on your house payment for 30 years. Think how fucking insane that is. But at the same time, what's fucked up is as insane as that money is, home buyers need to earn $115,000 to afford a median priced U.S. home. More than ever in the history of life, housing is the most unaffordable it's ever been in the history of the United States. Now, $35,000. You need to make $115,000. Now, what that does is it means to be affordable, it means you can't spend more than 30% of your income on a mortgage payment. Now, if you guys went and got a mortgage payment or got a loan, they'd look into your finances, and that's one of the first things they do. Dude, does that equal 30% of your guys' income? Can you guys live comfortably? If something happens, can you afford to be able to make money still afford it? Is it going to put you behind? Is it going to crush you? Your credit, all that goes into this. Well, like I said, to get a loan now, you need to basically make $115K. Yes, you can do it combined, but you still need to have 10% of fucking $444,000. Or you need to have 20% just to not pay that fucking insurance. How big of a joke is that? So who the hell's got 88 grand just chilling so they don't have to pay that extra insurance money on each month? It's a joke. It's just so the banks don't get fucked. So now you have to pay this extra insurance. I can't remember what the fuck it's called right off the top of my head right now. But it's a joke. Well, now we have to do this extra insurance because it's riskier and riskier for us. Well, on top of that, if you guys see, so you need to now have that 30%, which is higher and higher and higher. And I already told you guys that the credit going out there is lower and lower and lower. Well, if you guys look at this, I showed you guys this a month ago, the situation gotten worse. They're losing even more. And when the next report comes out from the NBA, it's going to be even worse. It's going to be even worse. The situation's getting worse. They're still losing money every time they give you a home loan. These guys are losing money. If you guys look down there and look at everything that they did, they're losing a reported net loss of $2,000 on each loan. On the fourth quarter, they're doing a net loss of $3,000 a loan. Now, if you guys come down and look here at the bottom, they're doing a net loss of $2,800. In 2021, when the rates weren't so high and inventory was out there, they were making an average profit of $2,339 So that's a swing of negative $4,000. So these guys are getting fucked, and this is due to the cost of low inventory, the cost of them taking out a loan, giving it, approving it, doing all that shit in the back, commissions, all that crap. It costs them a ton of money to give out these loans. Oh, here you go. I think it actually shows a number here in one of these. Hold on. Unaffordable. So yeah, they're still losing money. Where is it? Sorry, 1 second here. I thought I had it highlighted, but apparently I don't. It costs him. Okay, so it's now an all-time high for them to give out a loan of $10,000 per home loan. But that's not what I was looking for. Where the hell? I think I had a third. I had a third tab because I don't see my graphs. I don't want to retry and find that. I had a third page and had graphs. I don't see it though. I probably deleted it and opened up 10,000 other ones or changed it to something. Whatever. I had graphs. So basically, the cost of for these guys to open up a new loan from 2021 to the first quarter of 2022 jumped by 2,000, and then after that it jumped from Q1 of this year to Q2. It jumped up another 2,000, so it's jumped up 4,000. Like I said, these guys, the available credit right now to get a loan is going to be pretty much impossible. Credit is drying up. These guys are taking losses everywhere. They're losing deposits. They're getting fucked on bonds. I showed you guys their unrealized losses are at $585 billion. They're going to keep getting worse. Bonds are on fire right now. They're going to keep getting worse. I don't know what the hell these guys are going to do. I really don't. Like I said, the collapse that's going to happen, it's going to be way worse than the Great Depression. And when this smashes down and all these fucks get exposed, there's nothing they're going to be able to do but point fingers. And like I said, the shit that's going to come, I hope everybody, like I said, make sure you guys' money's in safe places. Make sure you guys are being responsible with it. I told you I'm out in this small town. I bought some land. Hopefully this town develops. It wasn't a town before, but this is the last year. We were a township, and then we just became a town. Now, remember, I told you guys that's one of the smartest things to do is you look at townships that might develop into a town. You buy the land, you let it develop around you, and eventually they'll come say, hey, we want your land, and bam, cash. But not investment advice, financial advice, whatever. It's just a way to make some cash if you can. But like I said, guys, I know it's like fucking A. It feels like they're still doing it. AMC's not jumping up. I'm disappointed in the Taylor Swift numbers. Honestly, I thought it was going to do. It was expected to do 150 million. It only did 92. But at this point, I feel like some of those numbers could be fudged too. You know what I mean? I feel like hopefully some of this shit's not reported. But like I said, I don't know why they haven't added the 120 million in pre-sales. Does anyone know why? I'm gonna look at the chat quick. Anyone have any questions or anything? But I'm not sure why they haven't added the 120 million in pre-sales to this. It makes no sense that they're not on here. It did this in the weekend, but they said that ticket concessions and all that would be hit in Q4. That's when it would count. So it should count the second it gets released. I don't know why the hell it's not on there. $1 million? Dude, could you imagine paying? Let's do that. Let's do this. Let's go over there. Let's check it out. Where do you say, California? Well, I guess if you're buying $1 million house, you probably do got 100 G's. But still, you're looking at 7.8%. You're almost looking at 8% on $1 million house a year. Holy fuck! Holy shit, dude! Look at how insane that is. $1 million house at 8% almost. No way. There's no way. Yeah. PMI. Yeah. Yeah, it's PMI is PMI. If you're paying on that insurance in case you default on your loan, you have to pay them. It's like, fuck off. Don't give me the loan. Fuck them, dude. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Unless you got 20% down. Who the fuck's got 20% down? No one. Nobody's running around fucking dropping. Fuck Disney, dude. You know what? Know what's gonna be sweet? I'm gonna say it right now. This time next year, AMC, when it comes to distribution, AMC next year will be above Walt Disney. I think we're gonna get Megalopolis. I really do. And the thing is you saw it with Taylor Swift. They signed Taylor Swift, and within 1 month, they were able to go ahead and get that film out, released, distributed. Amazing. That's sweet, dude. If we can go ahead and get a couple more of these, like I said, next year, if we get one big movie, then a whole bunch will follow. We still got a whole bunch of contents being filmed right now. Let's go. But we got to make sure we're seeing some movies here. We got to get this box office number way up. We can't just hope the Swifties get us up to the billion. We want to make sure we're seeing movies. If you can't see movies, once again, make sure if you're on Twitter, you're retweeting all of AMC's trailers, their movie trailers. I do it all the time. Make sure that you're just doing that because I've seen a lot of movies. Like I just saw The Creator. I would have never saw The Creator if I didn't see those movie trailers retweeted because I didn't even know. I don't watch TV, so I don't even bother with it anymore. And on Football Sunday, I got that NFL. I just got the Red Zone, so it's like I don't bother with TV at all, so I don't get to see all these trailers. But free advertisement is amazing. Does anyone have any questions at all, by the way? Yeah, I know the 92 million's an estimate too. I'm not, like I said, they didn't even add the pre-sale numbers to it. Even if you take the estimate and you do the pre-sales, you're still over 200 million. I mean, think about that. How many movies in their opening weekend already did 200 million? Not many. So, like I said, this movie can still easily do 600, 700 million domestically. And then you add Beyonce, and you're looking at 300, 400 million domestically. Next thing you notice, we're doing over $1 billion in the matter of 2 months. In the matter of 2 months, 3 months, you could go ahead and jump up into a top 4 distributor. That's huge. Like I said, that like I was saying going forward, that's going to have AMC having some leverage in negotiations too. Maybe they can get themselves that 1 more percent. 0.5%, and that 0.5% on these deals when they're $700 million movies, that's a big deal. The reverse repo, like I said, it'll go down when all this starts happening because these banks and they start losing their deposits. They're not going to be able to go ahead and have all this money to give over to the feds to have them just stash it overnight. And that's what's happening right now. They're losing cash on hand. These guys, they want to report, well, we made all this money over here and made this, but yet then they're not reporting on their losses held on securities that they're minus. If you actually look at those too, they actually end up losing in these quarters. They always try and spin numbers to make it look better. They're just fucking trash. I mean, I know you don't say by the long play, because I don't know what the long play is to you. Do I think we're going to mow ass probably tomorrow? I don't think we're going to mow ass tomorrow. Yeah, I'm going to be doing a space call with Peter. A lot of people are asking about that. He got sick last weekend, and he asked to reschedule. But I haven't been able to find a time with him that... Well, of course, he's doing a space call now, but... I'll get a time with them sometime this weekend, so I'll go live with Peter again this weekend. I'm trying to get a hold of Dave Lauer so we can go over these rules with the SEC,
get people involved a little bit more. Because like I said, if you guys, if you weren't here in the beginning, we want to make sure we comment on this rule, please. This rule destroys market makers. This rule fucks up Citadel. This rule fucks up Virtue. This is another reason why they hate Gary Gensler. Again, this deals with the rebate tier system. This blocks and bans rebate tier systems. Basically, this is payment for order flow from the exchanges. So anytime a market maker would come in, they would pay them a rebate, and it would always be higher the more that you would do business with them. It was incentives to do business with them. What this would do is give powers to these exchanges, and on top of that, they would make the market makers more money. So this affects Citadel, and it affects Virtue's revenue stream. This is huge. On top of that, it opens up competition to the market, which is better price discovery for us, which saves us money as well. So again, make sure that you guys are commenting on this. Dave is going to have something up with We the Investor here in a couple days, and I will post it. But make sure we are commenting on this. All right, guys, I'm gonna get going here. Gonna go make some lunch here. Maybe jump in that Peter Hahn space call. So if you're on Twitter, you want to jump on there, I'll maybe jump in there, listen, maybe talk for a little bit. But thank you guys for listening. I'll have a video soon, and like I said, I'll have Peter on here hopefully in the next couple days. Thanks, guys. Have a good day.